Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a lovely day. I'm so glad you're joining me for another 5 easy step card tutorial. We're going to make a floral card, one of my favorite things to do. I love florals because you could use them for so many things. Sniffle season is around the corner, if not here already, and so I thought we'd make a Get Well card using a fancy die from Hero Arts. I picked this up and it is so pretty. It is called the Large Flower Layering die set. And we are going to do some die cutting. So let's jump in and start with our step number 1, which means we need to create our focal point, which of course is the flowers. We're going to die cut out some flowers with white cardstock. I'm going to have a darker background, so I think the white's just going to stand out. I'm going to take this flower. It has some real pretty line details. This flower will line up with this, but I'm not going to use it. I'm also going to die cut out the smaller flower here. So 2 flowers we're going to cut out with white cardstock. I'm also going to cut out some green leaves. Let's go ahead and do that. And then for my flower center, I'm going to use some gray cardstock. We'll cut out 2 flower centers with some gray. Now we're going to build our flowers. Before we do that, I do want to add a little bit of yellow to my gray. So I'm bringing in some Distress Oxide inks. We're going to give them some love today. And then I'm going to use a finger dauber. This is Wild Honey, and I'm just going to add some yellow to the flower center here. And I'll do the same thing with this one. And then, of course, I'm going to bring in some foam tape. So let's bring in some small foam squares. And then I'm just going to add 1 to each of the flower centers. And we'll add these. They come together really quickly. And that's all there is to my focal point. Now we're going to move along to step number 2 and create our home panel. Today we're kind of doing a mix and match of stash items. I'm going to be using the Lots of Stripes die set. This is actually one of my favorites. Spellbinders has that catalog where you can pick your top, well, they ask some designers to pick their top 3. Well, this is one of mine, along with the winter borders, and then I have one more that I picked. So I do have a coupon code for you, if you, not just for this, but for your purchase. So if you guys are planning on doing a little bit of shopping at Spellbinders, check the link down below or over on my blog. There's a coupon code where you can get 10% off. So that's a nice little perk for today. I'm going to die cut out this with the diagonal stripes. Okay, and then I'll take the background panel and I'm going to cut this out with some darker blue cardstock. This is Windy cardstock. This is the ColorWheel collection, and then this one here is Partly Cloudy, and I think Partly Cloudy was Color Essentials, so Spellbinders may not have this anymore, but any kind of darker blue cardstock you would have would work great. Okay, even vellum would work great too. And all we're going to do to create our home, I love the rounded corners on here. All we're going to do is just use a little bit of glue and attach both of these together. Now all we have to do is add our focal image. I am going to put more foam tape. Of course, there is more lower profile foam tape if you guys prefer, but I don't really think that's too much dimension. But again, if you guys are not into a lot of dimension, just skip the foam tape on the back of this one. Lovely. And that's my home panel. Now we're going to move along to step number 3, which is our greeting. And what I had did was kept a couple of the pieces from the negative pieces from our home panel, and I thought we would do some stamping on here. I'd rather stamp on these strips and layer them here than try and stamp directly on these stripes. So this way, if I make a mistake, I can just switch it out. So I'm going to bring in my Memento ink and some acrylic blocks. I'm using a stamp set from Hero Arts. This one is called, let's see. This one is the Message Strips Stampin' Cut Extra Large. I just like the block letter of these, and I mentioned we're going to make a Get Well card. The strips are kind of thin, and I was going to put Get Well Soon, but I'm going to do a reroute. I'm going to stamp I'm With You and then through thick and thin. First, let's stamp I'm With You. And wonderful. And then we'll stamp through thick and thin on this one. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And then we're going to layer these here. I think that worked out great. That's all there is to my greeting. Now we're going to move along to step number 4, and we're going to create our background. For my background today, I'm bringing in some cardstock. This is a A2 panel of Spellbinders Oceanside, and we're going to do a little bit of masking. I have my 3M post-it note tape here. And I'm going to mask off a 1/4 inch from the top. And then I'm bringing in a stencil. I'm using a stencil from Hero Arts called the Stacked Circle stencil. And I'm going to tape this down here. And then, since we are doing stenciling on dark cardstock, instead of going darker, I thought we would go lighter. And that's the great thing about oxide inks. I'm using my tumbled glass. And I'm just going to pick up some ink, and we are going to ink up our stencil and add a lighter color to a darker background. Lovely. Let's go ahead and put this to the side, and we'll take a look. Well, that worked out pretty nicely. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the top portion, and I actually can reuse this. I'm going to take this panel and put it on the front of an A2 size card base. After we have this adhered, I'm going to bring in some yellow cardstock. This is Spellbinders Beeswax, and I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch strip. We're going to bring in some yellow from the flower centers. Even though you're just going to be able to see it on the left and the right, I'm going to add a thin bead of glue here. I think this is just going to help tie everything together. We'll add this right there at the seam. And that's all there is to my background. Let's go ahead and take our home panel, and then we're going to tack this down on the front of our card. I may have to adjust my flowers to get those leaves in there. I adjusted my leaves just a little bit to keep them inside of my card base. Now we're going to move along to step number 5, and that means it's time to embellish. For my card, what we're going to do is we're going to go simple with the embellishing. I'm going to bring in a fine tip Sharpie. Any kind of black gel pen you have would work. And you guys know I like to do this, but I am going to add some little black polka dots to my flower centers. Always adds a nice little playful look. Plus it helps tie the greeting in since the greeting's black. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my glazing glue. And I'm just going to go over the flower centers with the glazing glue. I'm also bringing in my Spectrum AB gems, and we're going to add some shine around our image, just using the tiny ones, maybe on our leaves. Wonderful. Okay, and that will finish off my card project for today. A quick and easy card in 5 easy steps using some Hero Arts items and a few Spellbinders items. I hope this gives you a little bit of inspiration. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.